Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another episode of News for You with Rebecca. So, my name is Rebecca, and I am the Adult Learning Program Administrator for the Pueblo City County Library District. And today we are going to focus on family tales and ties. And we have a special guest. Her name is Crystal Talley. She's our digital resources and technology librarian. And she's going to walk you through a couple of our online databases and resources that you can use to research your own family history. And of course, I want to mention to you that our third floor special collections department has tons of amazing resources for you to do your own research for your family history and your family tales. And also, if you're just doing other research that's historical, the staff and librarians in special collections would be more than happy to help you. We have genealogy mapping tools that you can use, like charts where you can fill in your family names for your research. So make sure to come to the third floor, introduce yourself, and ask for help. And they would be more than happy to help you. Today, for the News for You portion of our program, we are going to focus on an article that I thought would be sort of fun. So one way that family tales get told is orally, right? But we also can record those tales. And when we do writing, like memoir, or which is writing about ourselves and our story, and then we share that with the next generation, then we're creating history. We're creating a family tale. And of course, we've all lived through this pandemic. And so I thought it would be a kind of cool opportunity for us to do some writing today and for you to write a story about yourself and what you learned and experienced over the course of 2020. And we're also going to just sort of look at some examples of student writing, some other people who shared their experiences. I invite you to read along with me and then write your own story. What did you learn about yourself in 2020? And then I'd love for you to email that to me and share it with me. And on the next News for You, I will read a couple of those examples. So my email is on the screen. It's rebecca.mcgee@pueblolibrary.org. And I really can't wait to read your writing. And like I said, I will happily share a couple of those for the next News for You. So I hope to receive some. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start. I'm going to let the computer do a little reading, and I'm going to do a little reading. So it'll be a combination. And here we go.
Your writing. What did you learn about yourself in 2020?
We're going to make this text bigger because we can. I want to remind you, if you're a registered learner in the Adult Learning Program at the Pueblo City County Library District, you have access to News for You, either if you're working with a learning coach or on your own. So give me a call, I'll get you registered, we'll get you set up to use this resource. All right, so here we go.
We asked News for You readers to write about what they learned about themselves during a difficult year. Here are some of their responses. Busy learning.
I'm from China. I immigrated to the United States. I started my new life here. I like America because in this country, I can learn about so many different cultures. Then the coronavirus started in China. I'm worried about my friends and family in China. I pray for them every day. My library's Early Literacy Center has an online reading program. I enjoy it. There, I meet friends from Germany, Egypt, Colombia, and Mexico. All are mothers who need to take care of the whole family, and they still want to learn more English. We are challenging each other and helping each other. I also take an online speaking class. The Literacy Center uses newsforyouonline.com to teach. It speaks each sentence to you. You can listen if you don't know how to pronounce, and it also has definitions for the important words. On this website, I learned about different kinds of animals, the cultures of different countries, and how different countries responded during the pandemic. There was an article that moved me to tears. In a small country in Central America, a teacher rode a tricycle to teach children one by one on the street. Right now, I have 6 classes a week with homework, and I take care of my family. I'm very busy, but I'm very happy. Since I participated in online learning, my thinking has become positive, and there are no negative emotions. I have never loved learning like this. I am very grateful to the government for giving us free learning and free food opportunities and many volunteer teachers. Lynn Fraker, Visalia, California. All right, so let's see if we can find a few adjectives in here. I am from China. I immigrated to the United States. I started my new life. Oops, let me see if I can find them. Oh, hey, let's use fireworks because I can't find the little stickers. Okay, new.
I started my new life here.
Yes, new is describing life. What kind of life? A new one. I like America because in this country I can learn about so many different cultures.
I like America because in this country I can learn about so many different cultures.
All right. So for now, let's go on to the next. Let's do one more. Because Crystal has a presentation for you today, so I don't want us to run out of time.
Technology opens doors. There is a saying, when God closes a door, he opens a window. But what I really learned during this pandemic is, when a door is shut, technology can help you find another door. Before the pandemic, I could only attend classes at the local library. Since the pandemic started, my online learning footprints have reached several cities across the country. I attended the 1619 Project in Los Angeles, which changed my understanding about the contributions of Black Americans. I joined an author's talk in Seattle, where Tommy Orange shared his book, There, about Native Americans. I also started to learn Spanish, which I've been longing for but never dared to try. I even made more friends than before. While COVID-19 restricts our lives, technology instead makes the world more reachable, if only we are willing to open this door. Tweety Shao, San Mateo City, California.
So I sure hope that I receive a couple of writing responses to what did you learn about yourself in 2020. And I'll look forward to sharing those on the next News for You if I get any responses. And now I'm going to turn it over to Crystal Talley, our digital resources and technology librarian, and she's going to show you some ways that you can research your family history using Pueblo City County Library District free database resources online. And the last thing I want to mention is starting in August 30th, which is a Monday, I believe, we are going to begin offering digital literacy classes here at Pueblo City County Library District at the Rawlings branch and at the Barkman branch. We'll have a class, we'll have an open lab, and then we'll be offering proctoring for tests so that you can earn certificates to improve your resumes and to take to employers to show them that you are upskilling your computer literacy knowledge and skills. So contact me at my email or by phone 719-553-0206 or rebecca.mcgee@pueblolibrary.org. My email's on the screen. We also have our Career Online High School program. So reach out and let me know how I can help. But for now, here's our digital resources and technology librarian, Crystal Talley, to teach you more about learning about your family history and family tales. So thanks for joining us and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Crystal, and I am the Digital Resource and Technology Trainer Librarian for Pueblo City County Library. Today we're going to show you how to do a simple ancestry search using a few free library resources, Ancestry.com and America's Historical Newspapers. First thing we're going to do is go to Ancestry.com. So we're going to go up to the top from the main library page to our resources drop down. And then we're going to go to Digital Resources, Complete List of Databases, and since Ancestry is a genealogy resource, we're going to scroll down and select the Genealogy tab. So one of the first things that comes up is what we'll choose, Ancestry Library Edition. And almost as soon as you open up the page, you're going to get that option to begin searching. You can also do a few other things. You can search the census records, search vitals, military, immigration. However, I already have some information for a general search ready to go, so that's what I'm going to do. So we're just going to click Begin Searching. Now, whenever you start a search in Ancestry, you want to make sure that you have basic information as far back as you can go. So you want to make sure that you have at least a first name, if not a first and middle name. You want to make sure that you have a last name. Spelling is extremely important. You want to make sure everything's spelled correctly. You want the city, county, or state where your ancestor might have lived. You can even do adjoining states outlying, but you want to get as close as possible to get the best results. And then you want to have their year of birth within a 10-year radius. Closer the better, but it won't go beyond 10 years. So I'm going to start with the relative that goes as far back as I can, but that I still have the most information on, and that's going to be my great-grandfather. I know he lived in Washington State. Here we go. And I know he was born in 1918. So I'm just going to do a general search to start with no filters or limiters. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is that when you're not using any limiters or filters, you're going to get a lot of results. So just entering in that basic information, and it's as narrowed down as what we think we can get, and I'm still getting 35,282 results. So we can get closer than that. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the filters. So we're going to, right here, if you can see, these little filters, it shows that the year 1918 It can either be broadly done, which is usually within 10 years, or we can narrow it down. Plus 10 years, plus minus 5 years. It was his exact year of birth, so I'm going to mark that as exact, and then I'm going to update. Okay, and there he is. There is my great-grandfather, just by narrowing down just the birth year, placing that under exact under the filter options. It went from 35,000 down to only 203 records, with the matching result popping up first. And now we have more information that we can use to continue on our family history search. So normally what I would do is I would write down all the information that I have here, his middle name, his other last name that it looks like, because I know that he took his stepfather's last name. However, this looks like it is my actual great-great-grandfather. So that means I now have information that I wouldn't have had before because of Ancestry. So it shows my great-great-grandfather's name, my great-great-grandmother's name. So that means if I were to write this down and save this information, I could then perform another search because there's no link here, how it's missing the little clickable link. So that means I would have to do another search for James Henry Lowe. So this is the result that I wanted because America's Historical Newspapers, as an example, ends around the 1920s. And so I can't look up anything about my great-grandfather in there because he was born in 1918. I might find a birth announcement, but if I was going to find anything of any real information, I would want to look up his father or mother. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to use James Henry Lowe, and we're going to do a search for him in America's historical newspapers and see what we come up with. So America's historical newspapers goes back about 300 years, and you can look up almost anything. I know I've done example videos where we did a search for Blackbeard or Edward Teach, the infamous pirate, and we came up with several news articles in the 1700s about him. Really cool results. So what I want to do is an advanced search, but this time I want to start with my ancestor. So since America's Historical Newspapers does limit you to anything from probably the early 1920s, and then it goes back 300 years. We can't search for anything in the 1930s, the 1940s, 50s, or anything beyond that. We would want to stick to the early 20s and going back. So you're not going to find anything about the Great Depression, for example, of the 1930s in America's historical newspapers. So you want to make sure that you're using an ancestor that goes back far enough as to where you can actually find that. I'm going to use my great-great-grandfather that we got the information on so that we can see if we can find any articles about him. And I know that he was in Washington and the Pacific Northwest, but I also know for a fact that my family is from Oregon State as well. So let's try that to start with because I think that's where they came from originally. And I'm going to mark that as place of publication, and let's leave that blank because I don't want to stick to a specific date. I want to do a custom date range. So right down here, because I don't know for sure if there's anything in there, I'm not going to be sure where it is. We want to leave that as basic and open as possible. So let's go from 1918 to 1922. Okay, and we've got some results that mention a James Lowe in the Oregon newspapers between 1918 and 1922. So that's kind of cool. Let's take a look and see. So, so a Mrs. James Lowe, which very well could have been my great-great-grandmother, was in the Women's Relief Corps. So that's kind of neat. Let's see. Women's activities, once again with a Mrs. James Lowe. And the third option, city news in brief. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I see something about a raid. I'm going to go to this document and find out what skeletons are in my family closet. Seized auto returned to owner. Federal prohibition agents, oh, who go about the country seizing automobiles without warrants are not acting within their rights, according to Judge Bean. Looks like, so it looks like my great-great-grandfather had a friend uh, named Henry Harcourt who came to his home with alcohol, with 2 bottles of moonshine right in the middle of Prohibition, and apparently got in trouble for it. So that's interesting. So there's a family story right there. I can tell anyone who asks that my great great grandfather got in trouble for having bootleg liquor during Prohibition, so a bit of a party animal. So that's kind of neat. So this is just one example of, and you're not always going to find all this information. This was kind of a stroke of luck, but this is just an example of what you can find when you do these types of searches. You want to start by getting basic information of a timeline, the actual names, who they were, where they lived, and then you want to go from there. And you can actually do, once you've done your search in Ancestry, you can actually cross-reference that with America's historical newspapers and find some family stories, which I did. So that is our example of how to do a search in Ancestry and America's Historical Newspapers. And for more information, you can always come to the Special Collections Department on the 3rd floor of the Rawlings Library and get more information on how to perform your own family searches and get printouts of blank family trees that you can fill out to help you and guide you on your search for your family ties.